I just wanted to know you guys' reaction or leading up to the Chauvin decision yesterday. How do you guys feel, like, in anticipation of the decision from the judge?
I'm not gonna lie, it was surprising. And it's sad to say that. It was really, really surprising. It was a breath of fresh air. But at the same time, it wasn't. It was a new feeling, but there was kind of like, I felt like there's ulterior motives to it. But regardless of that, it's a victory. However you want to take it, it's a victory for us. We got one. Let's hope now we got to keep the pressure on. Let's get more of them. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch more people who have done a lot more negligent things. Not to take away from the George Floyd death, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. But we got to get everybody, man. We got to get everybody. This is good. I'm glad we got this guy, but we got to get everybody.
All right. Irvin, I know you're pretty pessimistic yourself. Did you believe that he was going to be found guilty on all 3 counts?
So when it came to that case in general, I was okay. So I didn't think so. He was going to get second degree. I thought they were just going to do probably manslaughter. They're going to be like, oh, it's like, involuntary.
Yeah.
And it was by accident. So I definitely saw that. Because here's the thing. Because the moment you go to, like, the difference between murder and manslaughter is that murder is intentional, and then manslaughter is by accident.
Right.
I think the lowest they could have gotten is 3rd, but 2nd, shocking. I was shocked about that. So the way I thought it was going to go, I thought it was going to be not guilty on 2nd degree murder, 3rd degree murder, guilty, manslaughter, guilty as well.
Right. So when I was, waiting in anticipation, I felt like I was bound to be disappointed. Like I was waiting to be upset. You know what I'm saying? Because as a Black man in America, I have zero faith in the system. So especially him being a cop, blue lives matter. So I felt like they were going to either lessen the charge to 3rd degree or just take away 2nd degree altogether. But when they all came in, I felt a sigh of relief, but at the same time, I wasn't satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Because he still hasn't been sentenced yet. Now, with 2nd degree murder, he's facing a maximum, which is the most they can give him, 40 years in prison, but he's facing a minimum of 12 and a half years. You know what I'm saying? And because he's on the police force, he's very protected. So I'm still not sure if at the end of the day, we're going to be satisfied with the result.
No, just a quick thing is like, so before this case happened, so this area has been known for a lot of issues. Like, for example, going back to July of 2016, right? Philando Castile, that was in Minnesota. That was not even 10 miles away from the George Floyd incident.
Can you remind our viewers of that incident? Was it when he was in his car? He said he had a gun.
Yeah, so he was in the car with his girlfriend at the time and his 2-year-old daughter at the time.
Yeah.
He got pulled over by the cops. He did the correct thing. He informed the cops that he does have a gun on him. And they asked, I remember at the time they asked for his license at the time. They thought that he was grabbing his gun.
Right.
She got shot right in front of his girlfriend and his baby at the time. And that one kind of affected me in a lot of ways because he did all the right things. You're supposed to tell the cops that you have a gun on you. You're trying to comply with everything that they do, and you still end up dead.
Right.
So that one kind of messed me up. And then we fast forward 4 years, and now we have George Floyd, where this man being recorded, and he's basically pleading for his life. And then, meanwhile, on this trial, we're dealing with the Kim Porter situation, which is not even 5 miles from that. So that's how. So these are 3 incidents in the last 5 years.
I'm sure there's a lot more that's just not nationally televised.
Yes, but just in that area.
Definitely are. Sad to say, there was a killing yesterday. There was a cop who was called there to assist the person who was being attacked. She did have a knife, but that doesn't matter. She wasn't aiming it towards the cops. Nothing like that was happening. A lot from the videos that you see from the main person who took the video. She said that as soon as the officer stepped out, just put a couple shots in her. Like, no hesitation. It wasn't tough. She called these people. She was getting jumped. She called these people. You know what I mean? So it's like you're you can't really do a lot, and it's sad. You can't do a lot as a black individual in
or
America.
even minority at this point.
Yeah, or even if you're a minority, you can't do anything. You can't walk down the street. You can't idle in your car. You can't idle in your own home. You can't go groceries. You can't go buy groceries. You can't do anything. So here's what I suggest. There's I try not to be pessimistic. I try to be optimistic. But with things like this that have gone on for so long, I feel like I only have so many things I can say and so many things I can do to, I guess, help in a way.
Right.
There's a war on black men. There's a war on black women. There's like you said, a war on minorities. I can't tell people to go out and arm themselves up. Okay, I'm not some revolutionary, but what you can do, like at the very least, man, just keep being yourselves. Stopping what you're doing, stopping listening to your music as loud as you want, stopping having cookouts outside because of fear. None of that helps, bro. None of that helps.
Because at the end of the day, if they want to kill you, they're going to kill you regardless.
They're going to do what they're going to do. And it sucks. I know, it really sucks to hear that. But if they're going to do it anyways, and if you're not willing to fight back in a physical way, fight back the best way we know how. Just be yourself, man. Because this shit, it's ridiculous. It's heartbreaking. It's saddening. But there's only so much we can do. I mean, don't get me wrong. Vote local. If you get some better locally voted people in there, maybe there'll be some change on who and what's going on in the police force. You know what I mean? But for the things that we can control, like just short of having an entire race of people just going at it with the government, just keep being yourselves, man. I know it sucks. I know it's hard. This year is really weird, even though it's supposed to be a breath of fresh air. Right. But we're all going to get through it somehow, man. Fucking RIP to George Floyd. So happy that his murderer got caught. You know what I mean? But we got to keep doing this, man. We got to keep up this energy. You got to keep arresting them. Like, don't do this just to satiate our anger. And don't just do this to...
You know what's funny about the Chauvin thing? Him and George Floyd, they had history prior. They had worked together before. So yes, it's like with the cops, it's like, okay, he doesn't know me. He just sees me as a statistic, as a black man. But with Chauvin, it's like, you knew George Floyd personally. You knew who he was, what he did. And even if you had beef with him, it's like, he's a human being. You've had conversations with him. And yet you still had no problem holding your knee to his neck for 9 minutes. 30 seconds? All right, fine, you're wilding. But 9 minutes? That shows intent.
That's a grudge, man. That's a grudge. And like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, in my head, already it's premeditated. Like, that's already premeditated murder. Like,
it could have been
already.
first.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen you've seen each other, you know each other. Automatically, what's going on in my head, that's premeditated murder, bro. I'm sorry, you got to go. We're zipping you up.
To add on to that fact, there was a 9-year-old present at the time, and her statement and testimony is a big part of this case because there was a minor present, they can extend past whatever sentence they're going to give them because there was a minor present. So it creates a different type of ordeal for the officer at hand because there's a minor, they can throw the book at him. Yeah. So in a way, that's, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that maybe proper justice will be handed out because there was a minor present. They can't hide, but they can't hide that fact.
But that's the craziest part is that like they have body cams, man. They have footage from on the street. There's footage from CCTV. Right. There's so many different forms of evidence against these people, and the only thing that they need to say is, "I feared for my life." That's it. Right. That's the only thing you need to say if you're an officer is that you feared for your life. Bro,
you thought he had
I am a civilian. Okay. I had a rental car today. I thought the police were stopping me. I was like, damn, this is how it ends. Like, that's what I thought. Like, I thought I was getting flagged down. I'm like, fuck, this is it.
So just as a quick thing, like for example, yesterday I was driving. I was on the FaceTime with the guys. I was doing that just as precaution, just in case if anything happens. Because when you're driving the highway, you're going to places that you don't know. You want to be as protected as possible, right? So, Khalil, I feel you on that. Anyway, I feel like the reason why I was so pessimistic on it was because there was nothing going on, and so there was no national attention until the killing of Mr. Wright. I feel like that's when they were like, I feel like that's what pushed that case.
So you feel like without the killing of Mr. Wright,
yes,
it would have been went a different way.
Yes, I think it would have gone a different way.
Okay.
And it's just weird to me because it's not like these individuals didn't even know each other. George Floyd's girlfriend was this man's teacher.
Wait.
So
whose teacher?
You didn't know that? Mr. Wright's teacher, the young boy.
You saying George Floyd and Wright were connected in that way?
Yes. So the girl.
No, I have seen that as well.
Yes, the girlfriend of George Floyd was the teacher of Mr. Wright while he was in, I think it was high school.
You know what? That's crazy. How they're all connected.
Yes, and it's crazy because it's all in this Minnesota area,
Minneapolis.
And yeah, and to me it's crazy because I'm surprised there was no looting, no nothing. Like it was crazy because what we saw at George Floyd, I thought there was no way something else would have happened again.
I think they had National Guard out there off rip just to prevent all that looting and rioting. They even had it in anticipation of the decision from yesterday. They had it ready just in case people wanted to riot.
Yeah, but I feel like that played a big part.
That's fair. It probably pushed it over the edge. But that brings me to my next question, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys see any hope? Like, does this give you any hope going forward in the legal system?
So for me, the reason why I felt like that case, like the Mr. Wright case matters so much is because now we have another officer that we have to try in another year, in Kim Porter. So basically, whatever happens in this situation is gonna deeply affect what happens to Kim Porter.
So it's gonna set a precedent.
So yes, it's gonna set a precedent. So if they give him a slap on the wrist, you might as well call her free at that point.
Okay.
The justice system, boy, let me tell you, justice system. Do I think this case is going to be like a big change for them? To be honest, no. I don't even think that's coming from a pessimistic view. I really just think I'm coming from a realistic view, whereas Black lives are seen as like commodities. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just like, it's sad. That's what it is though. We're seen as commodities. So with that being said, you know, we have to fight for every little part of our existence. I don't think that this case did anything except for maybe make a couple of like rookies in the police force shaking their boots. The rest of the people who are there, bro, they've been there past a year and a half, 2 years, and they have clearly all of the fake, right? The infrastructure is what's wrong. And I feel like I have more trust in media cops than I do in real life cops. Like I will go to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, go all the way over there to them boys to get my case checked up on before I ever go to like a real life cop. I don't think this will change anything unless, like I said, we make it like a witch hunt and we just start going after them one after another. Like whoever was working on this case, work on the rest of the cases that we about to bring up against all these other officers. All right, because just the gross misconduct that goes on in a police force every single day. These are people who say an oath to say that they'll protect, like, I don't get it. Like, you're not protecting anybody. You're not protecting the general diaspora by killing people.
Like, for example, we're in Boston, right? And the police chief was molesting kids this entire time and no one knew. Yep. Well, everyone in the police force knew.
Of course.
But the public,
they protect their own. They don't protect the public. They protect their own. It's like a freaking. It's like the
blue wall of silence.
It's a frat house. That's what it is,
man. All I gotta say is, like, you know, ACAB as always. You know what I'm saying? All cops are bastards, and I mean that. Y'all need to get yourselves correct. I don't know what kind of inhuman thought process you go through to become a cop,
Right.
but go take some like sociology classes or something. Go realize that you're still a living, breathing human being. And please, one last thing, please realize, right? Like the evil things that y'all do, like, yeah, they'll follow you to the grave, but they're like a host of nerds on the internet, like called like, what are they called?
Geek Squad?
People without the face. Nah, the people without the faces. Talking about what are they called, bro?
I don't know,
There's a
Chief.
whole
You're on your
group.
own on that one.
Yeah, no, I really am
You're too
alone with
deep
that one.
you're too deep into the web for me.
Way
Yeah, you
too, way
too
too deep. Either way, bro, y'all gonna get doxxed. Stop playing games.
So for me, I don't see any, it's funny because I want to be a lawyer myself. I don't see any long lasting effects. And that's because I feel like it took the entire country rioting in last May for them to even gain national attention. You know what I'm saying? And even with that, at first they were still like bailing him out. Like they had bail set. There should have been no bail at all. So I think they only did it to just please the public and to try to shut us up. You know what I'm saying? And one other case I might want to bring up is the Rodney King riots in the 90s. We weren't alive for it, but they beat that man over 50 times with a baton, and they were, for the most part, acquitted of most of the damage they did, and that was over 30 years ago. So for me, it's like, even though George Floyd died, what makes it so different? A cop was involved with a black man, and they basically skated free. You know what I'm saying? But then we have people like Dylan Roof who can shoot members of a church and be taken into custody and then asked to go to Burger King, but not dead. You know what I'm saying? The issue with the justice system isn't that it mistreats black men. Most black men don't even make it to prison alive to get a fair trial. And then white men are actively killing people, taking in alive like nothing happened. That's where we have an issue.
And the first question they asked, do you want a 4-piece with that meal?
And I'll have some sweet and sour sauce if I was them.
I'm dead. As my last thing, I just want to say, if I feel like, if we have some viewers that are just like, man, this is bullshit, like y'all know what y'all talking about. 2 days ago, I watched a video where a white man got pulled over. He was arguing with the cop saying this is an unlawful stop, this and the third. He seemed to have a gun on his lap. Okay, he has a gun on his lap. He's literally telling these police officers, like, this is unlawful. I'm not getting out the car. And they're trying to reason with him. Like, really reason with him. I mean, like, come get out the car. Like, we can talk about this like they're friends. Do you know what this man did?
What?
He said, I'm going to put my hands down and I'm going to leave. They were like, don't do that, buddy. Not put your hands down. We're going to shoot you. Don't do that. He then continues to take his hands down, put his car in drive, and dips off.
They didn't shoot him?
And
did they even chase after him?
Not one
it's
shot
funny,
goes off.
And no, not one shot goes off. Meanwhile, in the same week, we had the Virginia case with that gentleman, the Army lieutenant, who was stopped at the gas station, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I heard about that. And he was wearing his uniform?
Yes, he was wearing his uniform. He was just heading home after, I think he was doing like basic. He was just basically doing like basics out on a fort. So he's just heading back home, and he was pulled over, and he like, it's weird how he had to have more emotional intelligence than the police officers in that instance.
You have to be the bigger person.
I know.
What I will say is that just proves that even a black cop, your life does not matter. So if you're a black man that happens to be a cop, listen, I love you, but the system does not love you. Period. And with that being said, thank you for watching our podcast. Comment below, like, subscribe, and we'll be coming up with more content.